All right, the 49ers are back at work on Sunday after a day off. And good news, obviously, for the team is that Ricky Pearsall is back at work and Brock Purdy is back at work. So we're going to talk a little bit about what all of that means. For Ricky Pearsall, because he had the hamstring situation during the offseason program, he and all the other guys who are rehabilitating injuries or going through physical therapy, they were allowed to report to training camp 5 days early ahead of the other veterans, 2 days after the rookies were required to report 7 days ahead of the full team. For Pearsall, it was basically the way I understood it, he was fine or close to being 100% fine toward the end of the offseason program. But because he'd been away from the facility and the last the 49ers saw him, he was still not out there on the practice field. They just wanted to make sure that they got his conditioning where they wanted it to be. They checked all those boxes. And according to Kyle Shanahan, as far as the miles per hour, I mean, now it's very, there's nothing left to chance or guesswork. Like, when is a guy ready to get back to practice? He was hitting his miles per hour. He looked good, and anybody who was out of practice could see that he was working hard, going through a lot of conditioning, a lot of physical therapy through those first 3 days of the full squad practices. So Ricky Pearsall, who had the hamstring injury that kept him out of most of the offseason program. He did get some quality work with Brock Purdy in Florida. He and Jacob Cowing went down there. And so Ricky Pearsall, after 3 days, nothing, no flare-ups, no concern about where he is physically. 49ers, as expected, as they had planned, as they anticipated, they removed him from the physically unable to perform list. He is on the field right now in Santa Clara wearing that red number 1 jersey. By the way, I'm not there on Sunday because I have a memorial service, or actually a celebration of life, that I'll be attending for Dennis Georgiadis, longtime sports writer I've known for, a long time, 30 years probably, and covered the 49ers for a period of time with both the Associated Press and the San Jose Mercury News. So long time friend of mine passed away about a month ago. So a lot of us scribes probably won't be in Santa Clara today as we celebrate Dennis Georgiadis. Okay, so who is in Santa Clara? Ricky Pearsall, who's been there all the time, of course, and then working out, and Brock Purdy. So Purdy was provided with a personal day, I guess you could call it, on Friday. And don't want to get too deep into this because I'm sure that there will be information that'll become quite available here relatively soon, I would imagine. But when the 49ers gave him that personal day, which came as no surprise to them, he went away, did not practice on Friday. 49ers had the day off on Saturday. Well, he is back with the team on Sunday. So all indications, everything's okay. They anticipated him returning back to the team on Sunday for practice, and that's exactly where things are. So Ricky Pearsall and Brock Purdy, really important guys. It kind of goes without saying, right? But I'll say it anyway. Really important guys when it comes to whether this team can make that next step. Because of the uncertainty at the wide receiver position, really, when you think about it, when you think about week 1 of the regular season, that game against the Seattle Seahawks up there, the 49ers wide receiver position very much in flux. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and then who else? It's going to be somebody that they're going to have to rely on. But Jennings and Pearsall are very clearly the top 2 wide receivers when we're talking about early in the season. And that's because of Brandon Ayuk coming off of the knee injury. 49ers are being cautious with him, and rightfully so. It wasn't just a clean ACL tear. There was the MCL and some cartilage damage as well. And although he's out on the field and he was seen last week and kind of running some, half speed or quarter speed routes, just kind of getting off the line of scrimmage kinds of things. The 49ers aren't ready to put a timetable on him. They've been very cautious when it comes to that throughout the offseason. And even Kyle Shanahan said, we're not anywhere near being able to put a timetable on his return. Not we're nowhere near to having him return. It's we're nowhere near to telling you when we're going to have him return. So I would suspect that Brandon Ayuk will open the season on the PUP list where he is currently. That means 4 games minimum that he will miss. That 5th game is a short week with 0 practice on a Thursday night against the Rams. I can't imagine they would bring him back to the team without having any practice during the course of that week. So more than likely, I think the window for him really opens week 6 when the 49ers play at Tampa Bay. So Ayuk, very much in question. Demarcus Robinson, who's had a very good camp, a very good offseason, a veteran who started 17 games for the Rams last year and had his best season numbers-wise from pass catching standpoint last season. His availability, very much in question as the NFL, on their own timetable, will ultimately decide what they're going to do with him as far as the possibility of a suspension for violating the league's policy on substances of abuse. So those are 2 veteran guys who are very much up in the air and may not and likely will not be available for the 49ers early in the season. So then it's Jennings, it's Pearsall. Jacob Cowing is trying to recover from a hamstring injury that he sustained before the team really took the field for 11-on-11 work in the first day of practice. And then what we've seen in the days since then, Russell Gage has been a very good practice player, somebody who has had seasons with 70 catches, 700 yards receiving, 4 or 5 touchdowns with the Falcons, but a couple years removed now from a torn patellar tendon. Maybe he can get back in the swing of things, but he looks good on the practice field. I talked last week about Isaiah Nayor, the undrafted rookie. There's also Jordan Watkins, 4th-round pick from Ole Miss. And so there are openings for some of these guys to step in. A guy like Isaiah Hodgins, formerly of the Giants. 49ers did pick up 2 guys off the street last week, Equanimous St. Brown and Quintez Cephas. So there are opportunities for some of these unknown wide receivers. A guy like Tariq Owens, he hasn't done a whole lot on the practice field as far as catching passes. And I always use that as kind of a barometer. If guys are catching passes during the 11-11 portion of practice, it means they're doing the right things. They're putting themselves out there. They're making themselves available for the wide receiver. And they're doing the right things as far as the adjustments on the routes based on the play call and the defense that shows. So Owens hasn't caught a whole lot of passes. I would say through these practices, George Kittle has caught a lot of passes quite clearly, and he is their number 1, pass catcher, I believe, on this team. But, it really has been a guy like Demarcus Robinson and Russell Gage who have really kind of showed up in a manner of developing the chemistry with the quarterbacks, being in the spot that they're supposed to be. They're veteran guys who know how to get the job done and have gotten the job done throughout their career. So that's why I believe that Ricky Pearsall, who ended the season last year on such a high note with his ability to beat man coverage, to get open quickly, that game he had against the Lions in week 17, following that up with a game against the Cardinals, scoring a touchdown in each of those games. Ricky Pearsall, somebody who anytime I've seen him on the practice field, I've been really impressed by him. He just seems to be made of the right stuff. Last year, he did miss 6 games as a rookie. I don't know that he missed any games at all during his college career. The only games he missed last year were the result of his recovery from a gunshot wound to his chest. So Ricky Pearsall back on the field. That's a welcome sight for the 49ers, a welcome sight for the 49ers offense, and also a very welcome sight for the 49ers that Brock Purdy is out there as well. 49ers had just the 2 quarterbacks on the practice field Friday when Brock Purdy was away from the team. Now they're back to full strength in that regard. So that's the quick pre-practice rundown from the 49ers on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, and that is it for now.